What are we planning today?
And we have to consider blue bean. We are left it at a blue bean.
Abu Benadel?
No, it's blue bean. Blue bean. Blue bean.
Blue bean we are finished.
No, page 96. First we did notice, then we started to read.
Which page number we have done?
On page 96.
Let's take a reading till 96. Start.
The blue bean.
Swastika, the blue bead.
Yes, ma'am.
From deep water came the crocodile, above black water curved with whirlpools and into the fill of gold shallows by the stepping stones. He was twice the length of a tall man, and inside him, among these stones, which he had swallowed to aid digestion, rolled a silver bracelet. Timber was being floated down the great Indian river from forest further up, and there were sleepers lying stuck around the stones until someone came to dislodge them and send them on their way, or until floods lifted them and jostled them along. The crocodile had no need to hide himself. He came to rest in the glassy shadows among logs and balanced there on tiptoe on the river sand, with only his raised eyes out of the water and raised nostrils breathing the clean sunny air. Around him, broad sparkling water traveled between cliffs and grass and forest edges. A timber track came out of scrubby side and down into the sun-whitened stepping stones on which a little black catcher was skirting and thrilling along. The mugged crocodile, brackish brown above and yellowy white under, lay motionless, able to wait for a boat till food came. This antediluvian saurian species. Are we starting this again? This prehistoric juggernaut, ferocious and formidable, a vast force in the water, propelled by the unimaginable and irresistible power of the huge tail, lay lapped by ripples, a throb in his soul. His mouth, running almost the whole length of his head, was closed and fair in that evil moving smile, and with a yellow underside came up to it, was tinged with green. From the day perhaps 100 years ago, when the sun had hatched him in a sandbank and he had broken his shell and got his head out and looked around, ready to snap at anything before he was even fully hatched, from that day when he had once made for the water, ready to fend for himself immediately, he had lived by his blameless craft and ferocity. Escaping the birds of prey and the great carnivorous fishes that he gave crocodiles, he had prospered, catching all the food he needed and storing in it the nutrient roots in the backyard. Tepid water, living, and plenty of rotted food grew into his great head. Nothing would have pierced the inch-thick armored hide, not even rifle bullets, which would bounce off. Only the eyes and the soft underarms offered a place. He lived well in the river, sunning himself sometimes with other crocodiles, muggers, as well as the long-snouted fish-eating whales on warm rocks and sandbanks, where the sun dried to play on them quite wide, and where they could plop off into the water in a moment if allowed. The big crocodile fed almost on fish, but also on deer and monkeys that came to drink, perhaps a duck or two. But sometimes here at the fort, it fed on a pie dog to the parasite or a skeleton cow. And sometimes we went down to the burning lots and from the half-burnt body of Indians cast into the stream. Beside him in the shrouds as he lay waiting, glimmered a blue gem. It was not a gem though, it was sandalwood glass that had been rolling about in the river for a long time. By chance it was perforated right through the neck of a bottle, perhaps, a blue.
Continue.
In the shrill, noisy village above the fort, out of a mud, house the same color and ground came a little girl. A thin, startling child dressed in a earth-colored rag. She had torn the rag into two to make a skirt and tie. Sylvia was eating the last of her meal. Through her meal wrapped around a smear of green chili and rancid butter, and she divided it also to make it seem more and a bit midway, showing straight white teeth. With her ebony hair and great eyes and her skin of oily brown green. She was happy, immature child woman about 12 years old, barefoot of course, and often losing cold on a winter morning and born to her. In all her life, she had never owned anything but a rag. She had never owned even one item, not a piece, not a pie, even to buy, say, a handful of blown glass pieces from that stall in the bazaar, where they piled like stars, or one of the thin glass bangles that a man kept on a stick, and you could choose which color you would have. She knew what finally was, though. She had been with her parents and brothers all through the jungle in a little town at the village where there was the bazaar, and she had walked through all the mining people and the dogs and monkeys full of teeth. The idling was gossiping, bargaining humanity with legal truth. Heard the bell of a sacred bull clunking as he lumped along through the dust and cover. She had paused, amazed, before the sweet meat stall, to gaze at the brilliant honey confection covers with dust and flies. They smelled wonderful about the smells of grains and humanity and cheap cigarettes. At home, she sometimes tasted wild honey or crunched the syrup out of a stalk of sugar cane. But these leaves were green and magenta. Then there was the cloth stall, stacked with great rolls of new cotton cloth, stamped at the edge with the marker sign of a rider's head, and smelling so wonderful of its dressing. Straight front the mills, that Sylvia could have stood by it all day.
So if there is a question for you to explain the bazaar and the stalls at the bazaar, then you have to say all this. Now this is that new cloth at the edge of it, there's a stamping of the mill. So here there's a stamping of a golden tiger's head. Continue.
But there were other wonders to see. Satin fused with real silver thread, in place from Birmingham, and a sari which had got chips of looking glass embroidered into the border. She enjoyed the crowd around a Kashmiri traveling merchant on his way to the bungalow. He was showing dawn-colored silks that poured like cream, and he got a little locked chest with turquoises and opals.
What are turquoises and pearls? Gemstones.
That man we have studied merchant of. Best of all, a box which, when you press it, a bell tinkled and a yellow woolen chicken jumped out.
So this is like Jack out of the box sort of thing, but maybe an Indianized version. So chicken is talking.
There was no end to the wonders of the world, but Sylvia in all her life from birth to death was marked for work. Since she could toddle, she had.
What's the meaning of toddle?
And crawl.
The baby walk.
And gathered sticks and put down to dry, and cooked and weeded and carried and fetched water and cut grass for water.
What work Sylvia used to do? This is your answer.
She was going with her mother and some other woman down to get paper grass from the cliffs above the river.
Put a box on paper grass. You need to write this in your answers.
When you had enough of
It
it,
is a special type of soft grass which is used in the making of paper.
when you had enough of it, you could take it down by the cart to the railhead and sell it to the agent who would arrange for its dispatch to the paper mill. The women often toiled all day at this work, and the agent sat on silk cushions, smoking a hookah.
What is the reader trying to display over there?
What of the image?
Agent is the one who will get all the money. They will hardly get very little money for their hard work, but they are the ones who are doing the hard work.
Such thoughts did not trouble Sylvia. However, as she skipped along with her sickle and homemade hay food beside her mother, you could skip on the way out, but not on the way back when you ate with tiredness and there was a great load to carry.
Let me tell you what is a sickle and what is a hateful.
Would be similar like normal form but a bigger one.
So this is a hay fork. It is used for collecting of grass. It is little bit twisted over here actually.
So that the grass will come. Yeah, I have.
Now this is important because this is what she puts into the eye of the crocodile. So you need to understand it's like a fork which is big. Read. Okay, you can.
Such thoughts did not you. Some of the women were wearing necklaces made out of lala baggies.
Lala baggies, no, lala beaches. It is a Hindi word. Lala beach, red seats.
The shiny spotted seeds, black one end that grew everywhere in the jungle. It was best to have a new necklace each year instead of last year's faded ones. And Sylvia was making one too. How nice it was going to be to hear that ring swish round her neck as she froused along with lots of necklaces.
Crouched is like a skipping kind of a walk.
But each seed, hard as stone, had to
Are you
be
writing the meanings? That's why you're reading so fast.
each seed, hard as stone, had to be drilled with a red hot needle, and the family needle was snapped. So
Snapped.
Ma'am,
open.
What is the meaning of snap?
no, I am not able to find out where he's reading. I lost the track in between.
What you did not get?
Ma'am, I could not hear him, so I am not able to find out where he's reading also.
First paragraph on page number 97. She cannot hear you. You need to be louder.
Snap is like any human correct.
No, snap means broken into two.
Yes, sir.
Snap, broken.
So she must wait till they could buy another one. Oh, for strings and strings of glass and beads, anklets, earrings, nose rings, bangles, all the gorgeous dazzle of the bazaar, all her little golden body decorated.
Okay, what is the meaning of gorgeous?
I'm looking very beautiful.
Why is he calling her body golden?
Because
Ma'am, brownish color.
Yeah, because her skin color is brownish. Now, for the sake of the boys, where do we wear anklets?
on the
Anklets are written.
Earrings? Whatever. You know lots.
हाँ बिजनेस है
बिजनेस है
हाँ
का
हम रिटेल के बाल बेचता है
bangles.
चूड़ियाँ chattering as they
Okay, भटक गए.
chattering as they went, the women followed the dusty track forward towards the river. On their way, they passed a Gujjar encampment of
Okay, now
grass.
what is Gujjar?
A triangle.
Encampment.
A place where the
Her settlement.
Temporary huts. Chattering.
talking.
Who is the they over here?
The Gujar woman.
No.
Oh, sorry, the CBI. Ma'am, CBI and mother.
And
CBI and mother. And a few women.
and a few other women of their tribe.
Of grass huts were these nomadic grazers.
Okay,
who-
now you need to understand that the author is calling them nomadic grazers, right? Continue reading.
Nomadic grazers would live for a time until their animals had perhaps finished all the easy grazing within the reach, or they were not able to sell enough of their white butter and white milk in the district, or there was no one to buy the young male buffaloes for tiger bait, or perhaps a cattle killing tiger was making a nuisance of himself, then they would move on.
So they have given us 4 reasons for why these grazers would move. Who can give me all the 4 reasons? All the 4? Nine, 4, 3, all the 4. Take the help of your textbook. I think Swastika, you can give me all the 4 reasons.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, first is their animals had finished all the easy grazing within reach. Then they were not able to sell enough white butter and white milk in the district, and there was no one to buy their young male buffaloes for tiger bait. This is third one, and the fourth one is cattle killing tiger who was making a nuisance of himself.
These are the 4 reasons why they would, nomadic grazers would move on. Is this concept of moving out when the cattle don't have grass to eat reminding you of another chapter? Chief Seattle. They also used to do this. Yeah, in fact, in India, they used to never have fixed fields like the farmers have today. It was imposed by the Britishers. And the poor farmers kept saying that this is not good for the environment. We should not do this. You see, they would plow one field and say around 55 people would live around that field and they would grow and they would consume it. There was no selling of these things. It was just sustainability. You've done in geography sustainability. So they were just growing it for themselves. Okay. Now this harvesting takes nearly a year. Then next crop after harvesting, they would not sow it on this field. They would move on. They would move on. Their houses would move with the field. So they would grow here. They would live here for nearly a year. Then they would move on. Perhaps after moving on 4 or 5 times, they would again come back here to their old field, but after giving this field a gap of 5 years. But the Britishers compelled them that this is your field and this is only where you will plow year after year after year. And you will grow only one crop and then you will give it to us and then we will sell it. So this system was never there earlier. The Indian farmers didn't do that. So what Nora Brooke is writing, what she witnessed 200 years ago. So there were these nomadic systems, which is very good for the environment, by the way. More than Nora Brooke, na, these talks that I'm giving you na, will help you lots in life because as you grow up, you will see that computer engineers and mechanical engineers and doctors and dentistries will be taken care of by robots. The humanity, the intelligence of the humanity will be put to work how to use the resources of the earth best so that humans can survive.
whether it is ocean, whether it is land, whether it is water inside the land, whether it is clouds, whether it is atmosphere, whether we are having vertical growing of crops, whether we are taking water from the atmosphere, you and perhaps your kids will be indulging in these things. Machines से थोड़ा हम लोग हट जाएंगे, गाड़ियों से हट जाएंगे. There will be no profession of driving. The cars will be auto driven. Firstly, people will not travel so much. You know, I don't see that after 100 years, your kids will be coming to school and my kids will coming to school to teach. I don't think that is going to happen. It's majorly going to take place like I'm teaching swastika. I in my house, she is in her house. There's no need. So that's how the world is progressing. See it. So these things that I tell you about sustainability of the land is what is going to actually be very beneficial for you. As you grow up, you will be gearing towards subjects like geography, oceanography, soilography, waterography. They have the terminologies, I don't know, it's hydrography and all that. There are hydroponic plants, all these kind of technologies. Read further.
Sylvia glanced at the butcher woman as she went past. They wore trousers tight and wrinkled at the ankles, and in their ears large silver rings made out of melted rupees.
So they would take rupees and melt them and convert them into rings, and those rings were worn in their ears. Some time ago, we used to have this 5 paise coin, which is a thicker golden color coin. Yeah, and then now it has become a very stainless steel sort of thin 5 rupee coin. You know why this transition is taking place? It's so interesting. Anyone knows?
Because of Desh fertilizer.
No.
Because of
So Bangladeshis.
अच्छा export करते थे और smuggling करते थे coins का.
Right.
क्योंकि उसमें blades मिलता था उनको.
Yes. They used to smuggle these 5 rupee coins.
और 2 rupees में per plate.
And they would melt these coins, and then out of that metal that is created out of 5 rupee coins, they were able to convert each coin into three blades, and each blade sold for 2 rupees. So 5 rupees was getting converted into 6 rupees. 1 rupee profit. So on a large scale, it becomes lots. Okay. So then when we discovered this, then Modi government took a decision that we will not use this metal anymore. So it became a very stainless steel sort of a thin 5 rupee coin. क्या होता है?
हम अभी भी मिलता है.
No, I have in my pocket.
Yeah, so they've not demolished those. जो था वो था, but in the mint, where are the coins made? Mint. It's called a mint. Mint. The factory is called a mint. So there they started making new type of coins. Okay, read further.
And one of them was clinking a stick against the big brass ghadas in which.
Do you know what is a ghada?
Yes,
You're an Indian, na? Ghada. Yeah, in one of the class she said gurras, and I said, oh, American gurras.
Our man told today.
Yeah.
In which they fetched water from the river from the camp to see which one were empty. The men and boys were out of camp, which just now with the herd or gone to the bazaar to sell product. But 1 or 2 buffaloes were standing about, creatures, great wet noses and moving jaws and ground black bones.
Gaunt means their bones are visible through the skin. So you can say skinny.
The Gujars were
Let somebody else continue.
Ma'am, shall I read?
Okay, Swastika.
The Gujars were junglis as Sibia was too, born and bred in the forest. For countless centuries, their forebears had lived like this, getting their living from animals, from grass and trees. As they scratched their food together and stored their substance in large herds and silver jewelry. They were man in the wandering pastoral age, not Stone Age hunters and not yet cultivators. Ah, now there was the river, twinkling between the trees, sunlit beyond dark trunks. They could hear it rushing along. The woman came out on the shore and made for the stepping stones. They had plenty to laugh and bicker about. As they approached the river in a noisy crowd, they girded up their skirts so as to jump from stone to stone, and they clanked their sickles and forks together over their shoulders to have the ease of movement. They shouted their quarrels above the gush of the river. Noise frightens crocodiles.
Swastika, 1 minute. Do you think these ladies, while crossing the rivers, are deliberately making noises and talking to each
Yes,
other?
ma'am.
Why?
Because we were if
And
making
to frighten
noises
the
scares away the crocodile.
Kept the crocodile
Away.
away. These are all techniques. Yes, Swastika.
Yes. The big mugger did not move, and all the women crossed in safety to the other bank. Here they had to climb a still hillside to get at the grass, but all fell to with a will and sliced away at it wherever there was foothold to be had.
What is the it over here in this line? Ayo, sliced away it. Crocodile.
Ma'am,
The girl sliced the girl. Sentence to देखो. And sliced away it wherever they had foothold. The grass.
What is this behavior?
What is this behavior? Selling jewelry knows more than other people who are studying. Yes, Swastika, continue.
Yes, ma'am.
1 minute. Swastika.
Ma'am, it's written they took their sickles and forks on over their shoulders for the ease of movement. So I don't think they wanted to make noise intentionally.
Right?
Ma'am, because it's for the ease of movement.
Ease of movement मतलब तू बैग को अपने कांधे पे उठा के चलता है कि ऐसे पकड़ के चलता है?
Ma'am, but
नहीं, पर मेरे को जवाब देना, ऐसा पकड़ता है कि इधर रखता है? क्यों?
ma'am, easy.
इजी पकड़ नहीं सकता हूँ, इजीली चल सकता हूँ. अगर खड़े रहा होता तो ऐसे खड़े रहता, ऐसे उठा लेता. बट यहाँ क्यों रखते हो? So that your leg movement is proper. So इतना बड़ा hay fork and sickle ऐसे लेके चलेंगे तो उनको चलने में दिक्कत होगी ना. Plus it is a sharp weapon, उनको cuts होगा तो वो यहाँ पर उठा के चलते हैं तो ease of movement हो जाता है. Movement मतलब they can walk easily.
Yes,
अब उससे बातें करने का क्या कनेक्शन है?
ma'am, there was
No. So they were talking purposefully to keep the mugger away. हाँ? इस भावना को समझ गए? चलो, Swastika. Any other doubts up to here?
No.
Swastika.
Yes, shall I read? Yeah. Down below them ran the broad river, pouring powerfully out from its deep narrow pools among the cold cliffs and shadows, spreading into warm shallows lit by kingfishers. Great turtles lived there, and mahseer weighing more than 100 pounds. Crocodiles too. Sometimes you could see them lying out on those slabs of clay over there, but there were none to be seen at the moment. Where Sebia was working, wind coming across hundreds of miles of trees cooled her sweating body, and she could look down over the river as if she were a bird, although she did not dare stop for a moment under her mother's eye. Her imagination took her in swooping flight over the bright water and golden air to the banks where she had played as a child.
Okay. So when Sibia was a child, did her mother carry her up the hill?
yes,
She would walk alone.
So where was the child?
playing in the river.
Playing in the river, on the banks of the river.
In the river can be crocodile or shaking.
आज तो सारी समझ इसी के पास है, बाकी सब तो भूल
In the river.
So now when she is grown up and she is going on talk with her mother, she is recalling those days when she used to sit at the banks of the river and play.
Good word.
Now pink t-shirt will take.
Rainbow teacher.
What politics?
कैसे? बच्चे को नीचे छोड़ा है, घास काटने के से पॉलिटिक्स किसको पिंक वाली को?
Is it important to take maths for politics?
No way, all science लेना है तुमको मैथ से क्या लेना? Anthropology, English, Hindi, French.
पढ़ने की भी जरूरत नहीं है।
चल politician, चल.
Politician today GDP rate is very huge.
What are caplets?
Small kids.
अरे वाह. Pick the piglets at the cave are caplets. हाँ मैं politician.
While they hardened, if there were anything that could be used for coloring, they would look fine, painted with marigolds and elephants.
So what did she make there sitting there while her mother cut grass?
Clay. Gold wanted out of clay.
And the sharp word, the glare of the mother's angry sweating face would Sylvia back to work and they toiled on. But at last, it was time to go back to see their animals and the evening. The loaded women set out to cross the river.
Why loaded women?
Not because of
जो रीड कर रहा है वो शांत रहो, तुमको गले को शांति देने के लिए इनको क्वेश्चन पूछ रही हूँ, चुप रहो.
Because of the heavy paper grass they were carrying.
Paper bags.
Paper
चल कितना आराम है.
Sylvia hung back. She just waddled a bit and ran to see. And see the
Dwaddle.
slip.
I think तेरी भावना सही है. Slip what is next? जिंदगी की जाए. So she would walk like a penguin and run and see the pretty clay pots. No, see the sentence and tell me. Dwaddle. Walk away from the room. Walk away from the room. Oh bhai, इसको note down कर. Note down कर. इसको dwaddle को नहीं. ये भगवान. Dwaddle means walk away from the room. Dwaddle a bit and run. Yes, read.
Walk away from me.
Walk away from the room.
still dead in the grave, waiting to be painted and made.
Also understand why Sylvia was left alone and the other ladies had gone away. Because she is now planning that on the way back, I am going to meander from the route. I will take a peep into the caves and see those pots that I had made. Are they any good? Then I will take them home. So that is how she's got separated from the rest of the group.
Although the women were now tired and loud, they stayed out. Those in front yelled to those behind. The girls had ever safely and disappeared up the track into the trees on the other side. Even their horses died. Silence. Sylvia came down alone to the stepping stones. The light of evening was striking. The slide of stars, the birds breaking into the ultraviolet shadows. Now that the sun was off, the water were almost invisible among the stones, with no reflection to show where it lay. Sylvia stepped onto the first river. She was heavily weighted, her muscles strength.
Even their voices died away means what? Faded away. Why is the voice fading away?
Because now they are not.
Because
distance between Sibia and the other ladies.
The rainbow speed in the fat dry grass and the ritual for under the skin, in spite of Sally also up to make a fat. When she was halfway over, she put her look down on her big folder to rest and lay breathing on the floor. At the same moment, the losing woman came down with her Zoras to the water on the other side. Water on the other side. In order to get to good clear water, which would be quickly before the Zoras to the outside. She walked it on two seconds.
So what has the Gujjar lady come there for?
To fill water in the.
To fill water in her Vadas. Who will continue now? You will continue.
She was
within a yard of a crocodile and she lunged and
Lunge means
Jump.
pounce. Swastika lunged is pounce.
Yes, ma'am.
about the dark water
ये ना बहुत ब्यूटीफुल पेज है तुम ऐसे पढ़ोगे ना तो उसका ब्यूटी लॉस हो जाएगा so you know what I'll take it at the same moment a Gujjar woman came down with two ghadas to the water on the other side in order to get the good clear water which would quickly fill both ghadas to the top without sand she walked onto the stepping stones. Now I want you to start imagining. This is a very beautiful next two pages. She was within a yard of the crocodile when he lunged at her. Up out of the darkling water, heaved the great reptile, water slushing off him. His livid jaws, livid means very clearly visible. His livid jaws yawning. Actually, he's not yawning, he's opening his mouth to take a bite at her. And all his teeth flashing as he slashed at her leg. The woman screamed, dropped both grass pots with a clatter on the boulder. What is a boulder? From whence they bounced to the water, and Sibia saw them bob away in the current. Which current? Electricity current? Oh, the two good vessels gone. The Gujjar woman recoiled from the crocodile, but his jaws closed on her leg at the same moment as she slipped and fell on the bone-breaking stone and clutched one of the timber logs to save herself. Recoiled from the trying to free herself. क्या डिस्कशन चल रहा है यहाँ पे कोऑपरेटिव हाउसिंग सोसाइटी का The log jammed between two boulders, with the woman clinging to it and screaming, while the crocodile pulled on her leg, threshing his mighty leg, bang bang, to and fro in great smacking flails, as he tried to drag her free and carry her off down into the deeps of the pool. Blood spread everywhere. Sibia sprang. Sprang means jump, sprang. From boulder to boulder, she came leaping like a rock goat. Sometimes it had seemed difficult to cross these stones, especially the big gap in the middle where the river croused through like a bulge of glass. So when the water is going through the stone, it's like a wave that is created there. And it's a permanent wave, although the water is going on flowing. So it's like a bulge of glass on the stream. Croused through like a bulge of glass. But now she came on wings, choosing her footing in mid-air without even thinking about it. And in one moment, she was beside the shrieking woman. Shrieking? Screaming very loudly. Can you imagine? a crocodile clutching on her leg, how the woman would scream? So Asrika, you're missing all this.
Mama to do play.
Yes, ma'am.
वैसे तो नहीं चिल्लाते मैं थोड़ा आवाज कम ही नहीं चिल्लाता
मैं ऐसा बोलते हैं।
Proper dialogue.
आपने पूछा तो मैंने बता दिया
In the boiling bloody water, the face of the crocodile, fastened around her leg, was tugging to and fro and smiling. You take it now. Yes.
His eyes rolled onto Sevilla. One slap of the tail would kill her. He struck. Up shot the water, 20 feet, and fell like a silver chain. Again, the rock jumped under the blow. But in the daily heroism of the jungle, as common as a thorn tree, Sevilla didn't hesitate. She aimed at reptile's eyes with all the force of her little body. She drove the hay fork at the eyes, and one prong went in, right in, while its spear scratched past on the horny cheek.
So you see, when one prong of the hay hook is going inside, the other one is going to scrape the side of the crocodile.
The crocodile reared up in convulsion.
Conversion. They will explain now.
Till half his lizard body was out of the river. The tail and the nose nearly meeting over his stony back, then he crashed back, exploding the water, and in an uproar of bloody foam he disappeared. He would die, not yet, but presently, through his death, would not be known for days, not till his stomach. Blown with gas, floated him. Blown with gas, floated him. Then perhaps he would be found upside down among the logs at the timber boom with pus in his eyes. Sevilla got her arm.
White blood corpuscle. The room will discuss.
Sevilla got her arms round the fainting woman and somehow dragged her from the water. She stopped her wounds with sand and bound them with rag.
What is rag?
Torn clothes. And helped her home to the butcher encampment. There the men made a litter to carry her to someone for treatment. Then Sevilla went back for her grass and sickle and food. The foam was lying in the river, not carried away. Luckily, as she bent to pick it up out of the water, she
Now,
saw
after
the
all
blade.
this activity, would you put your hand into the water of the river?
No, ma'am. Only
Why?
Because of the fear of the crocodile.
Fear? Is she scared?
no, ma'am.
Remember, she's a young girl. What is her age? Is she scared?
No.
Why?
Because that person
That would be.
That's what she experienced whole life from
Dipping her hand in the river. What she been doing with the crocodile? She's been living with crocodile. ऐसा एग्जाम में लिखी तो wrong है भाई.
politician language.
सब इंडिया को बर्बाद करने के लिए पैदा हुए हैं।
भावना correct है, but choice of words is wrong. So you will get wrong for this answer. What should be the right answer?
Ma'am, because she is living in the forest of painkillers.
ये सही जा रहा है, ये सही जा रहा है.
Ma'am, there are
Because she's a jungle girl, used to these wild things, fighting of animals, rivers full of blood. So she's not scared to put her hand into the river. What does she put her hand into for?
No, not blue now, with the sun nearly gone, but a no color white blue, and its shade wobbling in the movement of the stream. She reached her arm down into a yard of the cold silk water to get it. Missing it first of all because of refraction.
What is this refraction?
Ma'am, bending of light from one transparent medium to another transparent.
From one medium to another. So why is there refraction?
Because light is
Because the
Density of the medium varies. So हम पेंसिल बीकर में डालते तो ऐसा लगता है कि
हाँ ये तो हमने वो भी पेंसिल वाला एग्जांपल
Then there it lay in
no somebody else has to take it out. Yes, it
Then there it lay in a wet bath, perfect, even pierced, ready for use. With the sunset shuffled about inside, it like gold dust. All her heart went up in the flames of joy. After a bit, she twisted it into the top of her skirt against her tummy, so she would know if it burst through the fourth floor and fell. Then she picked up her phone and a sickle, and heavy glass and set off. Hey, what a day. But where 6 months out of the vision of snakes in the dust, there was a thick singing of malaria mosquitoes among the trees now. And this track was much used at night by Makana elephant.
What is a morose old Makhana elephant? Old morose.
Dead.
Then the elephant is used, the track is used by an elephant. How can it be dead? What it means that शाम को यहाँ से हाथी गुजरता है. मोरोस मतलब जो के थोड़ा सा पागल है. Otherwise elephants don't roam alone, na? They are always together.
The Tuxils one, but Sylvia was not thinking of any of them. The stars came out, she knows. On her way back, she met her mother out of bed, come to look for her.
Now this climax of the chapter is very important. It is a hot favorite for the exam point of view. So इसको अच्छे से समझो.
Finance the story. Oh, the story is an optimistic.
Read.
On the scolding, I did not see till I was home that you were not here. I thought something must have happened to you. And Sylvia burst in with a story. She cried. Something did.
What are we expecting Sylvia to say?
To say that she was
कुछ हो गया था क्या? We are expecting her to mention the crocodile. What does she mention?
I found a new bead for my necklace.
So crocodile is not important to her at all. What is important is the bead. Chalo volume.
yes, ma'am.
देखो तो दे. क्या बात है? क्या पानी है? पानी है देख लो. उसमें पानी है. तुम लोग खा क्या रहे हो?
हम कुछ भी नहीं रहे.
अरे कुछ नहीं. अरे सच्ची में
बैग चेक कर लो कुछ मिला
अरे बाप रे. क्या खा रहा है? आलू भुजिया. क्योंकि जैसे इसने हाँ वैसा किया है ना, कुछ तो चल रहा है और कुछ तो खा रहे हो इसलिए पानी पी रहे हो.
अब मैंने नहीं किया. मैं प्याज में खा लिया.
मैं कुछ भी नहीं था.
Have any doubts?